When facing a diagnosis of breast cancer, the most important things to know are things that we have shared also on our website. There's no way I can condense it all, but there are 10 tips that we share right off the bat. And I specifically posted them on our website, which is beautyafterbreastcancer.com, under sample pages, because I feel it's so important to get that information out there that I don't care if you pay for it or not. I just want you to have it. Mostly what it talks about is connecting with a nurse navigator. I've compared breast cancer and that journey and initial treatment decisions to being handed a boat and being shown a river filled with rapids and going, okay, we'll meet you downriver in 10 miles. Here's your boat. Go ahead. And it's completely unfamiliar waters. You don't know what you're in for. You don't know what you're doing. And all you're trying to do is just keep your head above water. Connecting with a nurse navigator is something that is more akin to being handed a boat and a captain of the boat, somebody who's sailed this same stretch hundreds of times before and has made it through just fine. There's someone who can walk through with you and say, okay, so here's what's going to happen next, and here's some good questions you might want to ask, and I'll write down the answers as we talk, and I'll give those to you after your appointment. It is an absolutely invaluable resource to connect with a nurse navigator. Most of the major hospital systems and breast centers have them. You don't have to be a part of that hospital system to connect and utilize the nurse navigator. So that's a big one. Other little bits and pieces is that it's very, very important to be writing things down from the beginning. It gets overwhelming really fast. So start a file folder right away that has your documents in it and things along that line. Another very large piece that people haven't been able to wrap their minds around very well in the beginning is understanding that a lot of times your options for surgery will change, and your treatment recommendations will change as you continue to go through your cancer treatments and your diagnosis. Many times, people that I've talked to have been incredibly surprised because they'll get partway through their treatment or they'll get as far as their surgery, and all of a sudden it's, what do you mean I need chemo? I didn't think I needed chemo. Well, we found an additional 4 lumps during your surgery, and so that's changed the recommendations. That was true for one of the gals in our book. Or in another scenario, one of our participants had gone through chemo and it had shrunk the tumor to such extent between her chemo and her radiation that they couldn't find it anymore. And so her treatments changed radically, and they no longer recommended that she have a double mastectomy. So knowing that your recommendations can change as things go along is part of it as well. Knowing that radiation and chemo can affect reconstruction. So if reconstruction is something that's important to you, sometimes you can have a better outcome if you delay it a little bit longer. And those decisions don't need to be made right away. There is time to make decisions about reconstruction. Georgine, in our book, did her reconstruction 5 years after she was finished with her surgeries because she said it just got inconvenient. She was swimming and her implant or her prosthetic came out of her swimsuit and went floating down the pool and bumped into a friend. And in the meantime, her grandson keeps poking her in the arm and say, Grammy, that the piece has fallen out again. She had a little fold in her chest from her surgery, and she said it was just getting annoying. It was just getting inconvenient. So 5 years after her surgery, she did a reconstruction. She maintained and held that reconstruction for 20 years. At the end of that time period, she needed to switch out the implants or she needed to do away with the implant. She said, it's not really relevant for me anymore. And so she opted to deconstruct her reconstruction. Whatever decisions you make are not a 100% commitment at the time. You do have the time to make many of those decisions. And I think that's another very big and important piece to remember. Again, within the book, there's a lot of other tips and a lot of other little details of what to expect and what are the most important things to know. And whether you pick up a book or not, I would certainly recommend that if you're in that situation, just go to the website and read those tips. They were shared by about 40 different participants, some of whom didn't end up making it into the book here, but there was probably between 50 and 100 different people total that we interviewed. And these are the things that all of them said were most important for them to know. And so we're passing them on to you. We created the Beauty After Breast Cancer book to be the perfect resource for newly diagnosed patients who are facing breast cancer and for people who have already faced breast cancer who are having trouble integrating back into their bodies and their lives again. This is the information we all wish we'd had when we were going through our treatments, through our decisions, and through our diagnosis. You can pick up a copy of the Beauty After Breast Cancer book on our website at www.beautyafterbreastcancer.com. And there's also a section in there in which you can see some of the photos that are in the book, and you can review some of the most important information that you need to know when you're first facing a diagnosis. That information is free on our website under sample pages. Again, the website is www.beautyafterbreastcancer.com.